Continue our conversation about propositions. What I think is the most important proposition on the ballot this time, and maybe in a decade, is Prop 208 about raising taxes for education. And we invited the Yes on 208 people from Invest in Ed. We've invited them a number of times, and they were unable to be with us. So joining us is the No on 208 from the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Glenn Hammer. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
So I'm going to be in a little bit of a different role here. People kind of know where I stand. And I know one thing I want to start off with is that I appreciate about the Chamber is you truly are a nonpartisan organization.
That's right. We're the party of business.
And you have, at times, have endorsed Democrat candidates and incumbents. And I think you just gave an award not too long ago to Senator Sinema for something at an event I was at.
She was recognized by the U.S. Chamber for being one of the, actually, she's the most bipartisan U.S. senator. So we try to call the balls and strikes at the Arizona Chamber.
Outside of a political agenda.
Absolutely. And jobs aren't Republican, they're not Democrat, they're just good for all of us.
And I want to start there because I was surprised to see that even the editorial board at the Arizona Republic said,
vote no. Vote no. And Mike, the reason why this is the most destructive ballot proposition that's ever been on the ballot, certainly when it comes to jobs. And the reason why, it's a $1 billion tax increase. It hits small businesses. And the reason why is many of our small businesses pay taxes under the individual tax part of our tax code. So at least 50% of the entities hit by this $1 billion tax are small businesses. And Mike, we're still in a pandemic.
Now, the number that was given to me by Yes on 208 is 13%. I still thought that was high if it's 13% of small businesses, but you're saying it's 50.
It's at least 50% of the entities that are hit by this tax are small businesses. And these are the companies that are incorporated in Arizona. These are the companies that are employing Arizonans. In fact, these companies employ 58% of Arizona's private sector workforce. So the Prop 208 proponents, which by the way, it got on the ballot thanks to funding from an outfit in Portland, Oregon. So think about that for a second. They designed this in a way that it hits Arizona businesses, but in terms of the Fortune 500, Mike, it doesn't change their taxes by 1 cent. Now, I'm not saying that you should raise their taxes. I'm not saying that at all. But it's unfair the way this was designed.
So they are saying it's taxing only the wealthiest percentage of Arizonans, but you're saying that it's not going to tax the Fortune 500 companies that aren't based in Arizona.
That's correct. This does not change the corporate taxes. So we would have this bizarre situation where our tax rate on our small businesses would almost double to 8% from 4.5%. So we would go from one of the most competitive states to one of the top 10 highest states in terms of small business taxation, when the corporate tax would be about half the rate at 4.9%. That doesn't make any sense. So no other state does that, by the way.
So let me verify something with you. First of all, when you say small business, define that for me. What is the business model that's going to affect so those business owners can do their homework and see for themselves?
Yeah, it's basically any business that, when I say small business, I'm talking about basically the Small Business Administration definition, 500 and fewer employees. But basically, Mike, it's any business that's filing under the individual income tax part of our code. So it could be limited liability companies, things like that. So these are the companies that employ so many Arizonans. And I just want to point out, I really think that the timing of this couldn't be any worse. Nationally, and it's probably about the same in Arizona, 1 out of every 7 small businesses, they're gone goodbye forever because of the pandemic, through no fault of their own. So here we have these small businesses that many have only been able to survive because of things like the federal Paycheck Protection Program. And by survive, not just the owners, but all of these employees. We have 1 million Arizonans working in small businesses. And here would be this massive tax increase. This will be the death knell for a lot of small businesses. And Mike, that's why every major chamber, every major trade association, the best economic development minds like the dean of the delegation, Elliot Pollack, and great economists like Jim Rounds are all saying that this would destroy Arizona's ability to compete against neighboring states in the battle for jobs.
So the Yes on 208 people are using the fact, what they're saying is that education had been underfunded for so long since the economic crash. The kind of the brunt of this has been on the shoulders of schools, that schools need more funding. Would you agree that we need to have more funding in education? And if it's not this way, how can you commit to people that it would get done in a different way?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that it's an incredible case of amnesia like we've never seen. No state in the United States of America, Mike, has put in more money into our K through 12 system over the last 5 years. We have raised teacher salaries 20% over a 3-year period. We are now putting in about $1 billion extra a year in a sustainable way each year for our K through 12 system. By the way, we're also putting in more money into our community college system, which this proposal completely ignores. So what I would say is, yes, we want to continue to put more resources into our entire education system, but we want to do it in a way that doesn't crater our economy. This is the wrong plan at the wrong time.
The other issue is they talk about teacher salary, but it's not just teachers. This encompasses what they, so the definition of educators isn't necessarily teachers in the classroom.
Right, it covers everyone, and they've been very, and I appreciate, they've been very out front about this. This covers bus drivers, this covers people serving lunches, very honorable work. But if the issue is a teacher shortage, they're not directing the money into the classrooms. And in fact, the Goldwater Institute found that only 13% of the dollars that this $1 billion small business tax would raise would go into teacher salaries. That's a lot of waste. And again, it's the wrong plan. Now we stand with basically every chamber in the state, every trade, all these major trade groups. Who do they have supporting it? They have Senator Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
and I'm not kidding.
I know, I saw that endorsement. It was one of the things I brought up on the air, that Bernie Sanders endorses 208. Let's talk about, though, how we get money into the classroom. What do you believe? Because we've had conversations on other shows about a good education system, K through 12, is the cornerstone of a good business community. How do we get more money into the classroom?
Well, and it's not just, yes, we need more money, but we also need accountability. So what's remarkable about this $1 billion plan, if you want to call it a plan, is that there's zero accountability, zero reforms. So just think about anything that you would want. Normal, if you'd say, let's put more money into our transportation system, we would be able to say, okay, we have X miles of highway, or we have X miles of revitalized roads. There is nothing in this proposal that guarantees or even makes a feint to improving the performance of students. So our thing is, yes, we want more reform, but we need to have accountability. We have found, the Auditor General found that 55 cents or so gets into the classroom. So we have to make sure that we're improving on that. And this proposal spreads the peanut butter in a way that's not going to do anything at all to improve student performance. But what it will do is make us uncompetitive for all those California jobs that are looking to come to Arizona. Mike, our tax rate would be double that of Colorado's. It would be double that of New Mexico's. It would be double that of Utah's. And Nevada, which is our neighboring state, has a 0% income tax. How do you sell the state of Arizona to a small business entrepreneur who's looking for safe haven from California when we have gone in a direction that makes us one of the top 10 high tax states in the country?
It's an excellent point. Now remember, I want you to be an educated voter. We're going to make sure you have the link to the Yes on 208 as well. Again, we did invite them on the show. They were unable to be here with us, but a big thank you to you, Glenn, as always. I love when you come on and talk about things. We just want to educate voters, and thanks again.
We know this will kill tens, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs. We urge voters, vote no on Prop 208.
Thanks, Glenn. We'll be back.